Hello and welcome to our very first episode of London Music Centre. My name is Elliot Mann. In this episode, I'm going to address the biggest issue I think parents and students facing as to how can I start having piano lessons without having the piano at home. So we have a few kind of ideas that we collected over time, a bit of common sense. So let's get started. So again, hello and welcome. This is our very first episode and our very first video in something that is going to become hopefully a promising channel for parents and students alike. Now I'm going to discuss it with the point of view of the parents because, like it or not, most students are children and adolescents rather than adults, but this is addressed to everyone. Rather than always differentiating between the ages, you, him, her, we'll just say the child. But it is, I think we all children at heart to some extent, and I hope you'll feel it is addressed to you specifically. Okay, so let's address the elephant in the room. How do we start taking piano lessons without a piano at home? Old solution would be, let's go to a piano dealership, find an upright piano, hopefully old and grey, of a kind of a cheap rental or purchase price, and then get started. Then you get stuck with something that looks rather like a Ford Fiesta in your home rather than an ornament. And if you want to shift it, the council will charge you. And it always turns a bit nightmarish. The tuning, the purchase price. The purchase price is quite steep. Nobody wants to spend £2,500 to £3,000 and or dollars to buy an instrument. The biggest question parents are asking, what if my child is not interested? Again, this is something that we're going to cover in different episodes, so stay tuned and check out the videos just to make sure that you're up to date and you really have as much information as possible. So let's think of a better solution, and it comes in the form of digital piano. Now what is it? Essentially what it says on the tin. It's a piano. It has 88 keys. The keys are weighted. You will feel the weight of the keys just as well as you'd feel on a real piano. Of course, for you concert pianists and high graders, I appreciate that it's not exactly the same, but for most people up to grade 5, sometimes even up to grade 8, the digital piano would still be extremely usable and effective. What's so special about the digital piano? First of all, it doesn't have the depth that an acoustic piano has. Acoustic piano, it is acoustic. It has the whole sound box at the back with the wood and the metal, the cast iron, and everything else, which takes a huge amount of space. It's about 30 extra centimeters, 30 to 40, depends, and also the height, which depending on, let's for example talk about Yamaha, you have the U1, U2, U3, the bigger, the richer the sound, the taller and wide and deeper the piano gets. So just imagine 30 to 40 centimeters just by the actual soundbox. Sometimes it could be even wider depending on the construction of the piano. The digital piano has only the keyboard itself plus a little bit, just a tiny bit of space that you can put the book on and a few buttons. So that's already allowing you wider hall or more space in your living room. That's benefit number one. Now let's talk about benefit number two, which is even more important. You don't have to shut down the whole household because your child wants to practice, or you. So pop in the headphones and play as your heart content. Middle of the night, no problem. Early mornings on the weekend, no problem. You put on the headphones and you have the time of your life, you and your child. Bear in mind, if you give it to your child, they can just muck around and you don't even know what's going on there, but it looks like they're practicing. So every now and again, pull off the plug and say, could you show me what you've done? It's a good idea, right? So we talked about number one, the space, and number two, the versatility of practicing hours. You are not bound by any kind of social hours. You don't have to think about the neighbors. Nobody can hear it when you plug in the headphones, so it's extremely useful. We talked about number one, the space, number two, the versatility, number three, and maybe we're going in the opposite direction, but the number three is, I think, the most important for every person, every parent, every student, every individual. It's the cost. And by the way, you can find a few options of our top recommended digital pianos down at the Amazon links, and as we're doing with other videos, you'll have dedicated link to every country. So rather than having different links to everything, you'll have one link for the UK, one link for the US, one link for European countries, etc. So you can really access it right away, look around, navigate through and find what is really good for you. The good thing is you have the reviews, and that's what real people say about each product. Now back to discussing the cost. So you don't want to spend thousands, you don't know how long your child is going to be interested or yourself, you want to play it safe, you rent it. The minimal rent is 6 months, with many dealers over the last few years moving it to 12 months to make it more worthwhile for them. The average price of the rental is about £50 a month, which means you think of only 6 months, you already get to £300, essentially £300 for the rental. On top of that, there is another £150 to £200 /$/euros for the removal people. You don't just pay for one way, you pay for both ways, because they don't want to find that you don't have any money to pay when you need to take it back or give it back. So they charge you in advance for that. So we're already on the £500 kind of mark. Now, on top of that, you need to tune the piano if you want to get some good results. Tuning the piano will cost you about £100, 80 to 100. If you think about that, within 6 months, okay, they will tune the piano for you once, but if you keep on renting, you need, at the end of the 6 months, you do need to tune it again, because the tuning is, the piano loses the tuning. And maybe we'll talk about that on another episode. Why do we need to tune the piano, and where to situate the piano in our homes, acoustic piano, in order to get the best results and to deteriorate the qualities of the wood and the strings as little as possible. We'll talk about that in a different episode. Maybe I should do that with my fingers, so you have a link in here, but check all the links below, and on the channel itself, look at the playlist, and under the piano you'll see all the different things of the piano, and then you can choose, of course, what you want to watch. Back to discussing the differences of the piano rentals. So you go to about £500 to £600 already. Hiring a piano, which at the end of the 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, you'll have to give back. If you want to extend that to 12 months, so another 6 months, you're looking at bigger sums. Let's just quickly, 12 months, 50, that's £600 for the year rental, another £200 for the removal, so that's £800, another £100 for the tuning, that's £900. And at the end of the 12 months, you give it back or you have to buy it. Sometimes dealerships are trying to be kind and say, look, we'll drop the last 3 months rental off the purchase price. I don't know. Now let's talk about the digital piano. So the digital piano moves between £300 to £700-800. Let's take the most expensive, which is usually the black. The black digital piano will be about £700-800, where the rosewood it will be £50 to £100 less. Worth checking. Check on the links below. With the digital piano, you can buy the very best one for about £800, £700 to £800. I'm not recommending you to go to fancy shopping centers and get yourself a Clavinova, which essentially it's DJ on top of a music editor, on top of everything. Nobody needs it. If you need it, you know you need it. If you think maybe, you don't. So, rule of thumb, stick to what you know. You want something reliable, you want a good quality, a good brand, and a good instrument. You don't need to tune it. The delivery cost is part of the purchase because it's Amazon, so it comes to your home. So it's £700. You keep it for 6 months, you keep it for 6 years, you keep it for 20 years. It's the same £700. That's how useful the digital piano is. Now, I'm going to show you now the 3 options that we feel is extremely good value for money. The first one is the YAMAHA YDP 144. Now I'm going to describe it to you a little bit. It has a few models that you can still use the digital features. It goes between black, white and rosewood, as I mentioned. It has a graded hammer standard keyboard, GHS, graded hammer standard, which means you get the kind of weight of the keys, which resembles a real piano. You have 2 headphone connections, again, not just for one person, but if 2 people want to play, you have the 2 sockets. The weight is 38 kilos, and that's usually what you expect from something like this, but it does come with proper stand, not a stand that you put it on top, a proper stand. And we'll talk about why you want a proper stand. You know what? Let's talk about it now. Why do you want a proper stand for your digital piano? So if you don't have it, sometimes you want to save a few pounds, few dollars, and go with just the keyboard itself. I say keyboard, but actually I mean a digital keyboard, not a keyboard. Electric keyboard, guys, is something else. It's about 1 meter long, only 5 octaves, and it's cheap plastic, and the keys are soft. It will not help you ever play the piano. When I say digital piano / keyboard / whatever, it's always the same. It's digital piano. The keyboard itself is very heavy. It's about 5 to 10 kilos. I'm saying very heavy because if you buy one of those crossbars, first of all, it will always be wobbly because it's never really even. Believe me, the number of times I try to even it out with students, it's always kind of you touch it and it feels like it moves a bit. Also, you need to fold it, unfold it, fold it, unfold it. At the end of the day, everybody gets tired and you end up with the whole thing open for the rest of eternity. So if it's going to be open, why would it look like amateur hour and wobbly and unstable and not really attractive? Get yourself, I think it's another £100, which is really why it costs 700 or 800, and you get these beautiful 2 legs and the bass as well, which connects to 3 pedals. The sustain pedal, which create that resonance. You have the mute, which you press it. It basically on a real piano is different than the digital, but 3 pedals just as well as you have on a real piano. And the left pedal is for the kind of reducing the sound a bit. I think until you get to grade 5, or let's say a few years ahead, you won't be using any of these pedals, so it's not that important, but it does feel and look like a proper furniture. Consider that, people. Also, Mum, I guess you're watching this, not necessarily Dad. Do you want every afternoon when the kids are back from school to start moving this 5-10 kilos keyboard, digital piano, back and forth? You don't. And then you need to store it standing up, and then you need to move it around, and where did I leave the plug, and where did I leave the stand, and where did I leave the chair? You don't want that. Now you may say, do you know what, I have a dining table, I can put it on a dining table. The problem is, it's not aesthetically pleasing to have a dining table and a massive thing on top of it. It is quite big, I mean the keyboard itself. Also, you need like 5 different cushions to get your child to the right height because of the extra height. In addition to all this, you will eventually think like, I need to move it anyway. So listen, if you want to hear our experience, go for a proper instrument with a stand that looks like a furniture. It doesn't take any more space. It feels lovely and correct and authentic. So that's that little detail. Back to the digital piano. So again, we covered the 3 main things. We covered the space, which is a huge advantage. The more important factor is the practicing in all hours, which means the rest of the family members can still stay in the same room, which is fantastic. You just pop the headphones. And the reason number 3, which is the most important one, is the cost. So £700-800, euros, and you have a digital piano for the rest of eternity. Now you may ask me, Elliot, what if we want to sell the piano? The child doesn't want to continue. How easy or hard it will be to get rid of it? First of all, it doesn't take much space. So, worst case scenario, put it in your a garage, put it in some shed, put it in the corner of a room behind the door, or put it on eBay or Gumtree. You won't believe how many parents are looking for bargains. I will not recommend you to go to eBay because you don't know the history of this instrument. When you buy it new, you have the warranty of the manufacturer, the YAMAHA, the KORG, the KAWAI. You don't have that when you buy it from Tom, Dick and Harry. So be careful, people, because you may save a couple of £100, but you pay for it in aggravation and heartache, and you won't be able to do anything with it. Let me give you an example. You buy a brand new digital piano for about £700. You want to sell it after 2 years because nobody plays it anymore and it just takes that kind of unnecessary space. You put it on eBay or Gumtree, you can expect easily £300 to £500 worth, depending on how well you kept it. So you see, even if all sky falling on your head and nobody wants to play the piano, you can still sell it, and the amount of money paid at the end of the day is really nothing. So essentially for a few £100, £200-300, that was the cost because you sold it and you recuperate some of the value back. So you see, all things resolved. And because it's only 35 kilos, I'm saying only, 2 people can lift it easily into a van or even into a normal car like a SUV or something, and you can deliver it to anyone else, or they can come and pick it up. You don't need a removal company, because the real piano, people, weighs like a horse. It's about half a ton, but I'm not sure. It's ridiculous. It takes a huge amount of effort to move. No, sorry, it's a quarter of a ton. Check it out. Do the research. But it's about quarter to half a ton. Really depends on the size as well. If it's a U1, it's a smaller one. If it's a U3, it's a bigger one. Remember the acoustic box made of cast iron. That weighs a ton. Quite literally. If we're talking about baby grand pianos, that will be even more expensive. And if you think of medium to concert grand, I mean, the sky's the limit. It's as heavy as a house. So bear that in mind as well. Think of the marks it does on the carpet, on the floor, whatever. It's much harder to maneuver when you have an acoustic piano. Guys, I hope you got as much information from this video as possible. Now, this is a new beginning to offer you as many opportunities to discover the world of music studying. If you have any particular questions, feel free to ask in the comments. If you want to have a specific videos on any particular subject, ask us in the comments. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and most importantly, don't forget to share, because many parents aren't aware of all these details that make a huge difference to the children's progress and to your progress as an adult student. We'll talk about different things, and we'll do it properly with all the lists and everything. So it's going to be a wonderful journey. And on a personal note, and I'm saying personal because although this is a business in London, England, UK, it is still a mission to educate parents as much as possible as to what they can expect from their teachers, from the instruments, from books. We're also going to talk about that. And the links that we offer on Amazon is to give you a helping hand, so that you don't need to count on the favors of others and what do you think and what do you think. We're using our own knowledge and experience over the last 17 years. We're not more clever. It's just the time and experience. And of course, being teachers in our history and in our present gives us a bit of knowledge, which books work, which books don't work, what is exciting for the child, what isn't, what instrument would make you enjoy and not enjoy the musical progress and journey in your lives. I hope you enjoyed it. My name is Elliot Mann from London Music Centre. I wish you a lovely day, and I can't wait to see you on the next episode. Take care.